And now that we know that the madness isn't just about cheaper energy bills like they keep lying about and saving the planet, it's actually about data centers.
Yep.
And they're trying to create so much more renewable energy than we need.
Yep.
Now at least there's some truth out there as to what they're trying to do.
3, 2, 1.
Mate, a lot of people comment on our episodes that they don't understand what all the fuss is about when it comes to new transmission lines and renewable energy projects. They feel there's a NIMBY element to the protests that's not in my backyard.
Right.
NIMBY. They feel that generational farmers and regional communities are standing in the way of progression. So today, we hope to dispel some of that and shine a light on the enormity of what is planned in Victoria over the next 15 years. Mate, let's start with a video. Another farmer, this time based in the Shepparton region, who is trying to get her message out with regard to VicGrid.
Hello, I'm Monica Sutherland. I'm a farmer and I'm part of the Protect Dookie and Golden Valley Group. In September last year, we were included as a proposed renewable energy zone in VicGrid's published plan, with absolutely no consultation. 4 k's down that power line, 240 shipping container batteries are being installed at Pine Lodge. And last night we learned our friends and neighbours at Gurumbat have been told another 250 batteries have been proposed just 800 metres from their town. The rezoning is paving the way for industrial-sized solar developments and will create a corridor from Pine Lodge all the way to Glenrowan. The VicGrid Chief Executive Alistair Parker told us new data centres require massive amounts of power to operate. It isn't about the environment or lowering power bills. I've seen people raise the point that we have a choice on whether to install solar panels. However, Alistair Parker said on Win News last week that VicGrid has and will use compulsory powers to install transmission lines to these new builds through neighbouring properties, regardless of whether they said yes or no to solar development. Please share this post and sign our petition below. Every Victorian resident over 18 can sign. Thank you.
So that's interesting, mate. So many people have been conned into thinking that we must go renewable to save the planet.
Yep.
We're trying to reduce emissions.
And once again, there's no consultation. What a surprise.
What a surprise. Never even contacted before they're told you're going to be impacted.
Yeah. The thing that gets me is, so basically, we produce all that electricity during the day, right? So they've come up with this bright idea to use up all that extra energy that they can't possibly use any other way by building data centers. That sounds all right, but don't data centers use a lot of water as well?
Yeah.
Where are they going to get that water from?
That's why they have to put it where there's irrigation, mate. That's why it's got to go on arable land, mate.
So they're going to be stealing the water as well?
Yep.
A lot of water.
Yeah, but what aren't working up to this, mate?
But what happens at night time?
They use their batteries. That's why these batteries are going in.
What's the life of the battery?
10 years.
10 years.
Yeah.
And then what?
Then you got to go again, mate.
Yeah, but what happens to all the shit? All the we've seen what happens to solar plants that end their life. They're just left.
Dig a hole. But we know that we say they've got a life of 10 years, but they degrade.
Yeah. They lose
3 years' time.
They're not as good the longer they go.
Yep.
First 2 years are right, and then they go to shit.
Yes.
There's
no guarantee they're going to last 10 years.
Where's the planning for the future here? This is only going to last, technically, at most 12 to 15 years. Then what? Then what are they going to do? How are they going to run these data centers in? Oh, maybe we should get more solar panels and take up more of the land. I'll just leave all that shit lying there. We'll just build other ones. The farmers have all sold now because they can't afford to actually stay there and actually make any money. And no one's eating meat anyway, so who gives a shit?
It's a whole different topic. Diesel generators. That's
how they'll run it, yeah.
But we really know it's about cash. And now we hear that our government wants to link renewable energy projects to power-hungry data centres, right? While the rest of the world are building enormous data centres, they're also building standalone power sources, gas, nuclear, diesel, to run them so they don't impact.
If only we had an unlimited supply of gas. How good would that be if that was true?
Or the world's biggest supply of uranium to build our nuclear power plants. Imagine
that.
So this way, those countries ensure that their they are standalone. They're not driving down the grid supply or risking the security of energy to homes and businesses. But not in the great state of Victoria, mate.
No.
That's not the way we're going about it. The 2025 Victorian Transmission Plan, released in August last year by VicGrid and the Victorian State Government, spells the plan out in plain English and makes the picture much clearer. So for those that are saying that less than 1% of Victoria is required for renewable projects to ensure reliable, affordable and secure power, take a look at the plan that VicGrid has released.
Crazy, man.
Victoria, by 2040, will require up to 9.8 gigawatts of onshore wind turbines. That's 12,800 wind turbines or 40,000 acres set aside for wind turbines.
Are those the big ones?
Yeah. Yep. Up to 5.8 or something megawatts.
They'll
Enormous.
look superb.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. VicGrid has also stated they'll require another 8.9 gigawatts of solar plants. That's the equivalent of over 22 million panels,
Jeez.
covering a landmass of more than 100,000 acres.
It's
staggering. This is in the VicGrid report, mate.
Yep.
Consider that there is also a plan for more than 100,000 acres of housing planned over the next 10 years, new housing into agricultural areas. There's battery zones, as Monica just spoke about. And there's also rare earth minerals mines. There's 6 of them already planned at 7,000 acres each. That's another 40,000 acres gone.
Crazy, man.
And a lot of that is, again, on arable land. It's where they can find the minerals.
Well, do we really need to eat? Nah, we don't.
Well, we're not going to be, mate. Yeah. So Victoria, there's approximately 26 million acres of land deemed agricultural. 4% of that is irrigated.
Mm-hmm.
That's around 1 million acres. Not all of the planned VicGrid projects are on irrigated land, but the majority of the projects will be. And when you're talking data centres and batteries, water is required, right? Especially with data centres. So how much of our prime arable irrigated land are we prepared to forego to satisfy the insatiable appetite that data centres owned by Microsoft, Google, Apple and Amazon have when it comes to power?
Obviously, there's no limit, mate.
There is no limit.
There is no limit.
It's called snap in the trough.
Yep. It fully is, mate. It's like, what?
Victoria uses between 4.8 and 10 gigawatts of power a day, and they're trying to generate 26 gigawatts of power per day. Why? It's got to be for data centres. It's not for domestic use.
I mean, it's almost madness, mate.
It is madness.
When the rest of the world have gone, wait now, data centres, we need proper, like, fuel sources for that. We need coal, we need gas, we need diesel. We can't rely on solar panels and wind turbines.
Yep.
When the rest of the world are going, we need more of them built. Why are we continually going down this avenue of building something that only works for a quarter of the 24 hours in the day?
And has such inept efficiency rates. New South Wales is coming around, mate. This week they passed legislation to repeal the bill that bans uranium mining and nuclear power along with it.
Well, I might have to move there.
Maybe they're coming around.
Well, they are.
Yeah.
Who's in power there?
Well, it's Labor, it's Minns.
Yeah.
But he does seem a little more stable, perhaps, than other Labor governments.
These guys are insane, man.
For those still in doubt, have a look at this map. This map represents the renewable zones.
The 1%.
In Victoria, the 1%.
Looks a bit more than that.
It is, a lot more than that. So the grey is on land and the blue and bluey grey is what's going out into the ocean, mate. It's way more than 1%. And when you look at where this is, a lot of this is in our heartland farming areas.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Wimmera is not called the food basin for no reason, right? And out west, that's where a lot of these zones are.
They'll be calling it the solar basin soon.
Proposed renewable energy zones will end up covering by 2040 up to 4.65 million acres or 7.5% of Victoria's landmass. Now, not all of that land is going to be taken up with renewable energy projects, but these projects can be placed anywhere within those zones and in decades to come may well be planned to take up the majority of this land because they can compulsorily acquire it and just keep going with the madness, mate.
Well, it's the cheapest form of energy, don't you know?
Only once it's built and the wind blows and the sun shines. Up till that point,
Yep.
it's the dearest.
Yep.
Yeah. So it would seem that VicGrid have prioritised known areas of high cultural significance and have instead chosen land that they feel have fewer known constraints, like farmland. So they've gone to the Indigenous community, we'll work with you. We won't do national parks. We won't do where you've got cultural heritage. We won't do anything there. We're going to have to go to the farms. It's in their report. Of course, they talk about engaging with communities and considering agricultural land types, where they state they have avoided, where possible, areas such as national parks, heritage sites, wetlands, and residential areas. They only sought to avoid farming types potentially less suitable for co-locating renewable energy infrastructure. That tells you everything, mate. The main priority is to place new renewable energy projects close to existing planned transmission lines. And there we have it.
Yep. Well, if there's no farming, we'll have to get our food from elsewhere. They control the food, they control the people.
Yep.
Simple as that.
In the meantime, they're going to spend $11 billion on new lines alone.
It's just mental, isn't it?
$11 billion borrowed. So there is an alternative. And while these changes should have been taken to an election where the people decide on what path is taken, the coalition have come out and said they will reverse the laws that are impacting on farmers. They'll pause VNI West. They'll pause the Western Renewables Link while alternative plans are considered. There is a plan B.
Yeah, but
you don't like the word pause.
Do you trust them?
Well,
I mean, they might just be waiting for their hands to get covered in green before they go ahead, you know?
They might.
Now bribe me.
But it is a step in the right direction. It's the first time we've heard that anybody's willing to do it. We would have preferred stronger language used.
But
There's no doubt.
Talk is cheap with these government people. You know what I mean? They all lie.
Yeah.
A lot of them.
Yep, exactly. They've said they'll reverse the legislation around compulsory acquisition. They've said they'll reintroduce VCAT. They are really solid starts. They said they'll start consulting and communicating.
But you know as well as I do, they need to do something pretty friggin' big to get back in the landscape because no one gives a shit about that lot anymore.
Yeah.
So they have to make some big moves.
Yeah. At the moment, they're the only party promising this. Now, I'm sure there will be other parties who are growing in massive popularity that will also promise this, but they haven't yet.
And what's One Nation?
Haven't promised anything yet.
They got to get out there and start promising, mate.
They do, mate. And I'm sure once Farah's out of the way, they will. Farah's in tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, you probably won't see this for a couple of weeks. And I'm sure they will get out and say exactly that.
Well, they need to get out there now and start talking about it.
They need some candidates announced as well, mate. But there's a whole lot of things they've got to do now in a very short window.
Yep.
And the longer it goes, the less opportunity they have to get out and make the promises. And that leaves us then with an option of the devil you know or the devil you don't. And we know that people will vote for the devil they know.
Yep, definitely.
And it points to, unfortunately, us continuing for another 4 years with the devil we know.
Yep.
Which terrifies me.
Definitely. I mean, what chance has Liberal really got to get in Victoria?
The problem here is this is the National Party who have taken the lead on this. But as we know, National already have all those seats.
Yeah.
So there's nothing to lose. The ones that have got to win seats are Liberal.
Yeah.
And do we think they can win seats based on this policy in Metro Melbourne?
No.
No, exactly.
Definitely not.
No. So they're going to need to come up with a whole lot of things like better balancing of books and turning our losses into profit and all of those things. But
they've got to come up with policies and actually stick to it this time.
just by the way, if you think we favour One Nation a lot on this channel, it's because they're willing to talk to us. We've asked Jess Wilson to come on, nothing heard back. We've asked Emma Keeley to come on and talk about this, nothing heard back. But maybe, and obviously we've asked Jacinda and we've asked Lily DeLulu, and they haven't got back to us either at all. So it would be great if someone else would give us their opinion. But in the meantime, we'll keep pushing the party that is willing to talk to us. And there's a bit more coming from the One Nation camp in the next week or two. So stand by for that.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. All right, everyone, let us know what you think. We want this to stop. The madness has got to stop. And now that we know that the madness isn't just about cheaper energy bills like they keep lying about and saving the planet, it's actually about data centers.
Yep.
And they're trying to create so much more renewable energy than we need.
Yep.
Now at least there's some truth out there as to what they're trying to do.
Well, somebody's obviously been sitting in there in one of the meetings and said, we've got all this extra energy. What are we going to do with it? Data centers.
It's not enough though, mate.
But they just, it's only a quarter of, 6 hours max.
Yeah.
And if it's not windy,
Or something.
then it's going to die in the arse at night. And they're going to rely on batteries to do data centers.
Yeah.
They,
But who gets the priority, the data center or the town? We know whose lights get switched off first, right?
yeah.
The town.
Yeah.
Because you can't lose power to the data center.
I'd be just as worried about the water.
Yeah.
The amount of water they're going to use.
Especially if they're going in regional. Yeah, hopefully that happens.
How sure are we that they're going to be going forward with this for data centers?
Very sure. They'll run off a diesel plane. Nothing surer.
It's a long way to get that water to.
It's expensive too, isn't it? No, I don't think
they'll just tax us with it.
I don't think these data centres will go in end up in regional Victoria. I think they'll end up in Melbourne, and Labor are relying on the Western Renewable Link to move this renewable energy down to the northern and western suburbs of Melbourne, and that's where the data centres are going to be.
Yeah.
So if you think this isn't going to affect you in the suburbs, people, think again, because you're going to have these massive data centres which give off a whole lot of infrasound.
A lot of nasty noise.
Oh my God, honestly. We'll do a separate one on that.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, everyone, let us know what you think.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.
See ya.